So, my friends, we have been talking about intellectual fantasy. I briefly discussed about it. If I go on speaking, it will take minimum 50 hours, but we will talk about in detail when we take up the most important text, Gita. You see, the intellectual fantasy. I discussed intellectual paralysis comes from emotional dependence. Emotional dependence comes from likes and dislikes. And what happens when it comes? Yeah. So it comes from likes and dislikes. It causes the joy and the sorrow. Then my intellect is constantly working. Ah, I hate this guy. I like this guy. I love this guy. I hate this guy. It is a constant momentum. Like our mind becomes FM radio set. As long as these impurities are present, we cannot reach to the real self. Fantasy, you can say, is of many types. We argue to prove other is wrong, society is wrong, parents are wrong, honey is wrong, situation is not conducive, and we don't realize. These are the intellectual fantasies that causes more pain than anybody is causing the pain from outside. I'm grown, I have become an adult, I become more intelligent, and my intelligence says, Mom, you are totally wrong. Do you see that? Dad, you are wrong. Did you ask the same question when you were born? Go back. When you were born, mother fed you the milk. Mother helped you to survive. And I have become more intelligent. Or anyone who helped me even a, a bit. At that moment, he was right. And the next moment, he's wrong. It's a very subtler level of intellectual fantasy that we live in. And our gossip and our talk based on all this. Oh, let us meet for a lunch. And then we start talking of the same thing. So momentum continues. And we fall into greater and deeper ignorance. Are you understanding that? You all are seekers, so I need not to say that. Now, see, I'll tell you, yesterday I was dreaming, oh, let me find out some modest house to move in. But what I was thinking, that house should become a center of conscious evolution. So in intellectual fantasy, you remain as a consumer. When you drop it, you become a contributor. I'm only saying you start thinking in that. You're going for a job, let me contribute. In what way possible I can give mentally, physically, emotionally. That is the right way to get rid of this intellectual fantasy. As long as we are a consumer at the intellectual level, this likes and dislikes will not go. And if the likes and dislikes doesn't go, do not go, then you have a joy and the sorrow, then you have hate and love. I don't know whether that dream is fulfilled or not. It's okay. But I start my journey as a giver. You are a consumer and a taker. This intellectual fantasy will continue in your life. And if you live in that intellectual fantasy, the mind will go with the likes in this. Oh, what a great deal. I'm just watching, for example, the dating app. It doesn't make any difference. You don't change. So it shows that you are not changing. So what will happen? It will result into anxiety, duality, and a conflict. That is the root. Mom is not good now. Why it is not good? When she was good, when she gave me a birth, when she fed me a milk. You see, the entire spiritual domain expands. Then you have an aura, that aura of goodness. I'm just explaining. It will take, I told you that it will take 50 sessions, but that we will take in Gita when we start our journey of the Gita. I can go on. You have to check clearly how you feel that you are a victim of others. It is only because of this fantasy that we live in. I'm just quoting Krishna. I'm not saying. I have nothing to say. I'm teaching from the teachings of the East and West. So Krishna, he wrote almost, that text was written almost 3,000 years ago. He says these people are wise fools. They want to prove. They want to become a consumer. And that will cause tremendous emotional pain in your life. Physical pain is hardly 5 or 10%. 95% we have emotional and a mental pain and intellectual pain. The way we think, the way we express, the way we live. And when we get rid of this intellectual fantasy, you will see that aura. You will feel it, you will experience it, that you have that aura. You have that presence. And you enjoy that freedom. A couple of years ago, Jerry proposed me and we started this journey. So whether others pay or not, it hardly matters. Can you remain as a giver? That is extremely important. It is not that, I'm sitting in meditation. Wow, what a great experience you gave me. And after that, why we return? Because of the intellectual fantasy. Because my pattern, my way of thinking. So we have been talking about this Narada. I told you the story how his duty was to give, to predict as a palmist, as an astrologer, but that he was caught with intellectual fantasy. Now, see that? He was caught with that. Now, no, I should also marry this girl. I have already predicted, I have seen. Then what happened? The master explains he had a monkey face. Your face tells you, your eyes tells you where you stand in the spiritual domain. Now you all are seekers. That's why I'm going a little deeper. until we reach to a point of now is the time to study Gita. So we have already heard the story of the Narada, and then Narada started realizing what is happening in my life, why I did this. And he became one of the great masters. I'm reviewing the intellectual fantasy again. No, he is Narada, he can do it, I have a lot of problems. It is again an intellectual fantasy. I feel that I'm not hurting you, but I'm hurting your intellectual fantasy. He should have told you, no, I cannot do it. But he resolved, he changed, he transformed. Narada is known as, he is one of the great masters ever lived, who communicated with everyone, to the hardcore criminals, to the great monks and the masters, to everyone, to the king. Why? He dropped it. So he said that, what he said, that impurities of the mind has to be removed by understanding, by the self-inquiry. I should not go for self-medication. The more you go for self-medication, it is going to cause you more problems, and then you will start blaming others. Spiritual life means that there is a center in you, there is a presence in you, which is constantly vibrating. It is being expressed in your thought, speech, and action, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life. I've already told you that he has such a negative vibe. I don't want to be with you. You are such a great guy, who sends the negative vibration in others. That's why not many people will come and join us. I know that. But I have to stick to that. The negative vibration in others is a corresponding center of intellectual fantasy present in your intellect. Did the God say that, oh, you have a negative vibration, I'm not going to talk to you? Did Jesus say that? Did Buddha said that? Understand this. This is very, very important to bring about a change in our lifestyle internally. Do whatever you are doing outside. It does not make any difference. For that, we need a surrender of the intellect. What is the surrender of the intellect? It means I recognize my intellect is taking me away from my real self. So what happens? I will start doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. I've attended your program, nothing is happening. Yeah, nothing is happening. I agree with you. But did you inquire? Why it is not happening? Why it is not happening? So I discussed also before that at the time of the birth, this whole matter we say prakriti. Prakriti means that it is made up of three gunas, three qualities, three attributes. I am at rest, tamoguna. So tamoguna is a helper to me. I am agitated and I'm opposing the knowledge and the wisdom. It is still the tamoguna. So both the qualities have good and the bad. We were born when we were born, the tamoguna was extremely active. Science says that the baby, any Any kid that is born, they spend almost 20 to 22 hours in sleep. That is tamoguna. It is helping them. But if, as we grow and we don't have an activity, there is no action, what is going to happen? We will continue to sleep for 23 hours. Which force makes me active? It is Rajoguna. But now the sickness or ill of the Rajoguna is that Rajoguna always keeps the mind to fulfill the desire to become the consumer and ultimately to have an emotional dependence, to have a likes and dislikes. Ultimately, it creates an intellectual fantasy and we start living into it. Unless we introduce the Eastern wisdom that says, Satoguna, I have to introduce the Satoguna, knowledge. Tamoguna will prevent you to apply that knowledge in your daily life. And that is causing a lot of problems. What is the Eastern wisdom? Eastern wisdom says, keep tamoguna in balance. What it means, when you want to go to sleep, you must be able to sleep within 5 minutes. Means what? Rajoguna is not active in the mind at the intellectual level, so that you are able to sleep better. So Rajoguna is all about active. I have to live my active life. But it should be balanced by the knowledge, by the Satoguna, by the kindness, by giving nature, by peace, by happiness. Don't be so serious. So last session, we talked about desire, hesitation. Desire causes this four aspects, Narada advice, 4 root weaknesses. We talked about it. So you remember, it is desire, and then desire triggers the mind, it is agitated, then we have a repeat desire, and all the 3, somewhere the intellect knows whatever I'm doing in the material world is not helping me to become fearless. Do you agree? It does not make me fearless. I'm not free. I discussed that in detail. So now the Narada further says, so what happens with these 4 root weaknesses? I am in grief, I'm suffering. Every day tell me how many times you say that I'm suffering. How many times your mind is blocked by the emotional dependence. I'm not getting what I desire. This is grief, this is suffering. Intellectual fantasy cleverly hides my all weaknesses. Now, how are you? I'm good. I'm fine. And after a few minutes, then I know what the problem you have. What the problem you have. I told you that women, said, I left the corporate job to find out the life mission, intellectual fantasy. So unless the knowledge triggers in your mind what I did, does my life mission has to do leaving the corporate job or getting the job? Both. Marry or do not marry? Divorce or not? No. It is internal affair. But if I say it is not an internal affair, Narada says, this master says, the grief enters in our life. And that grief takes over our entire life. The honey is serving their food. This food, I don't like it. It came, just trigger. That trigger is living in our mind is the impurity. So he says the grief and the delusion takes over. And the third part, should I say that? Should I speak about that? Say yes, hypocrisy takes over. We become a hypocrite to our own life. So when the grief is there, the delusion is there. This master is saying, grief and the delusion should, grief, delusion, hypocrisy, and then we start injury to ourselves. Injury, mental injury, emotional injury. So the master says this grief and the delusion should be overcome by the self-knowledge. And that is why we have to do the self-inquiry. What is happening in my mind? Your intellect should think along the line the way the Narada is telling us. You start thinking along that line. And you will see you become totally calm and relaxed. That is the spirituality. So the grief and the delusion should be overcome, Narada says, by self-knowledge, hypocrisy. How to remove that hypocrisy? By serving others, near and dear ones. Wherever you go by the attitude of serving. How can I give something? I told you a couple of times, I went to the court and I see that, my presence should make the cashier smile. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Everywhere, anywhere, you go there. Think. I'm not saying that you follow. You believe. No. You think and introduce these attitudes in your life and you see. Son, again, I see you are again watching the games. You have started blame and complaint. Do you have any other option to talk? Intellectual fantasy is not going to leave us easily. No, I'm telling you that, you are not doing good in your study. So I'm angry. And then I say, I love you. That's why I'm saying you. Oh, anger and the love cannot go together. I told Ashok, never say even a single thing to your son who recently got married. I impressed on him and his wife. No, whatever they want to do, do it. Let them learn by their mistakes. I believe he followed it. We have to understand. So Narada says, I told you intellectual fantasy, then intellectual paralysis, emotional dependence, likes and dislikes, joy and the sorrow, and then hatred and the jealousy. And then Narada comes to this topic of fantasy. In that fantasy, we experience the grief and the delusion can be removed by the self-knowledge and the hypocrisy. We discover, what I'm saying, no. I should not. I should not. If I teach all these things to a non-seekers, they will attack me. So we keep mum. We don't say anything. We say, go ahead, continue living. We trigger something in their head if they want to understand. That's why we say it is a royal secret. Krishna again says it's a royal secret and it is an open secret. This journey of the spirituality. Nothing mysticism like this. So what happens, the delusion, grief and the delusion is essentially a weakness in the intellect. It is a weakness of the intellect. Never forget this. When I explain that I'm grieving or I'm suffering, I'm deluded, there is some problem in the intellect due to ignorance. You can make a series: ignorance, ego, intellectual fantasy, paralysis, emotional dependence, likes and dislikes, uh, what I said, joy and sorrow, and then hatred and jealousy. We continue to live into that. We want to do everything same and same again and expecting a different result. It is not going to help us. It has not helped us. So Master pinpoints that grief and the delusion is a weakness in the intellect due to ignorance, can be overcome by the knowledge. That is what we are doing. By knowledge. I have to introduce that knowledge in the intellect. Don't introduce the knowledge in the intellect, what is going to happen? Tamoguna. See the connection. Tamoguna will take over you. You oppose the knowledge. Nothing is happening. Think of it. So just let me take up one more aspect. Let us go a little deeper into the delusion. In delusion, there are two unknown factors. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. No, I'm husband. Wife, you should do this. Intellectual paralysis. So I am a husband. I'm not a real self. Do you see that? It's the same thing. Mom, you did not help me to grow better. Okay. So the common factors of delusion are two. One, I don't know who I am. Second is, I don't know what to do. What happens? Likes and dislikes. I don't like what you did. My friends, intellect helps us to succeed in our life with the same intellect because of the fantasy. So what happens? Now see, create, just think of it. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. It is an identity crisis. That is the cause of the human conflicts. That is the cause of the human conflicts in our life. And as long as this conflict is within me, who I am and what to do, fantasy will remain. Do whatever you want to do. You can give a wonderful talk. You can have an appreciation. So you are a consumer of that appreciation. You are not talking of the knowledge, so the hypocrisy comes. In daily life. So now see one more, this concluding point, and then we will also go deeper into our next session. So when I don't know who I am, I'm not aware, means I'm not aware. My fantasy says, no, I'm aware. I'm a boss, so that I will dictate you. See, I can give you hundreds of millions of examples. You can remind yourself. I'm mom, so you should listen to me. I'm paying you. So what happens? Pay attention to it. Intellectual fantasy is a self-medication to avoid the suffering, not to remove the suffering. Terry could enter into that state. So fantasy says, no, I cannot do, I have a limitedness in the body. Yes, we can understand it. But the consciousness is free. So what happens? what happens? We have to pay attention. Do you think what happens? In delusion and in grief, intellect offers you the wrong argument as right argument. As long as we put the wrong argument, we continue to do our self-medication. I believe this is what is life, that is what I did this, and that is why I left him or her, and you go on concluding. So what is going to happen? You are suffering already. You are already suffering. I want to end note. I remember, my mind remembers, in New Jersey, this woman divorced, and she was attending my sessions before. She was doing a private lesson. I used to go to her house, and she was crying. And so I said, "Very good. It's okay. Calm down, relax." I gave a couple of practices. The time came after 3 months. She divorced. Did I tell you? I think I told you. And that when I went to her house, our first session after the divorce, she was smoking heavily, and then she prepared a cup of coffee. "Can I take a coffee before your session?" I said yes. So we had a session. It was almost a winter, so sun was there. So she said, "Let us go to the patio and we'll have a session." I said, "Very good." So then she said, "Oh, can I go out and have a smoke before your session?" I said yes. When she returned, I said, "I'm not doing your session. I'm not interested. You're not ready." So she asked me why. I said, you were suffering and you are suffering. What has changed in your life? You had a fantasy that if I leave someone, why to leave? We are already separate. We are born at different times. We have a different gender. We have a different name in the form. I would say she pleaded. I said, "No, I'm not doing any session. Because I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be a failure." Understand, my friends. This is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. It digs deep inside your head. It challenges the intellect. Intellect, why you are thinking in this way? Can you change? And that results into such a beautiful life. The world is beautiful. Everyone is so beautiful. And that is what the spiritual life is. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed, and eyes are closed, and you're comfortable. Find out the comfort. Find out that comfort in you. You already know sensation, comfort, and steadiness, and also be carefree. These two elements must come instantly the moment I say close your eyes. The moment I say means you get rid of those intellectual fantasies, my friends. Pay attention. If you disagree, you can ask the questions later. That is not an issue. And Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. I'm getting rid of the first two, being comfortable and being carefree, lane 1, lane 2, lane 3. You are instantly aware of that. Why? So that whatever the time we spend in being comfortable and being carefree, we can add some more deeper steps. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Just see that I am a giver now, mentally and emotionally. What is that giving attitude? That everyone Everyone's nature is happiness. Why to worry? And my nature is also happiness. So you are melting that hardcore fantasy. Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. So what happens? When you see the changes that takes place, that should take place in our mind. Now I'm just digging deep inside. You're contemplating, even in meditation, there is no problem. My every meditation practice is a conscious journey. Means what? You know what you are doing. I know what I'm giving. So why it is a conscious journey? So there is no chance of the fantasy, there is no chance of the emotional dependence, there is no chance of cult and dogma and belief. Why you said this? Now see, I told you I blame my mom. What I'm giving to the mom? Am I giving peace? Who has given me peace during my childhood when I was an infant? That sense of awareness should awaken to me. I say you, my honey, am I a giver of the peace or giver of the stress? If I'm giver of stress, I'm a consumer. It will not change us. You attend any number of sessions, you blame the teacher. Sarvesham, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. It is a giver of that sense of completeness to me and to everyone through my emotions, through my mind, through the intellect. What is going to happen? Those four root weaknesses will start dissolving. If you remember that. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. You get so much emotional singing and even speaking about it. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Let everyone evolve. Let everyone be in peace and happiness. I told you I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. That factor can be melted, dissolved, to give rise to a new level of awareness, and that is what the spiritual consciousness is. Now, looking deep inside your head in the space, Om Shanti, and start breathing from the rib cage, expansion and squeezing of the ribs. You are aware of expansion and contraction of the ribs. You are aware of the Om Shanti. You are dropping with a pause. You are aware of the sensation, comfort, and steadiness in the body. What it does it mean? You have a kind of self-absorption. Who disturbs? I told you, fantasy, intellectual fantasy. Continue. You find you are absorbed. You don't need me. But you are aware of that absorption is the key that we will talk in the other sessions. It's a very deeper aspect. Continue the journey, breathing into the rib cage with awareness of the body in the state of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And Om Shanti continues deep inside the forehead in the space with a pause. Continue the journey, please, with all the pointed awareness. And stop it, do nothing, recognize and accept. You see, now the intellect is recognizing the changes, it is noticing the experiences. Intellect has already noticed that the mind will cause some issues in the challenges during the practice. They must go. And if they go, we can find out on the foundation, on that foundation, the intellectual paralysis is there, can be got rid of it. Again, check you are comfortable, carefree. Om Shanti continues deep inside the forehead with a pause. And now start breathing longer breath into the belly. Pay attention during every inhalation, expansion of the belly, every exhalation, the contraction of the belly continues. And I believe the Terry can do anyone can do. She is setting an example. So if any objection by the mind is there, it is paralysis. It is the fantasy. Understand that. We'll dig deep inside this issue in the future lessons. Keep on doing. We are tricky in the breeding aspect because we want to know how the mind poses the problem by a single thought, causing, say, no, no, I cannot do it, I can do it, let me do it by force. Lot of thoughts comes into our mind, objection, and also the beautiful experiences. And that we want to get rid of. I believe you have understood. I'll make it more clear. Beautiful. Everyone is doing beautiful. And now lead their practice again. Inquire. I said self inquiry, these sessions. Recognize and accept the changes in the vision and the experiences that you have. At the same time, the objections raised by the mind. So we recognize those objections, we recognize the changes at the same time. It is going to help us change our attitude, behavior, the thinking process. And as the time again go inside the forehead, you know already Om Shanti with the pause and start breathing both from the belly and the rib cage. It's a long, deep in the hissing breath. So you are conscious of expanding the belly and the rib cage. You are conscious of squeezing the belly and the rib cage during exhalation, my friends. The intellect will object to it, but you keep on doing it. You say, no way. So then what happens? Self absorption comes, and you are aware of that self absorption. That is the difference between the meditative state and normal self absorption. We are absorbed with the likes and dislikes, with the lust. That absorption is different than this absorption. I'll make it clear, no worries. Continue, my friends. Belly in the rib cage. And leave the step, allow the breath. Watch how the breath returns to its normal breathing pattern. That is also very important to note how the breath returns to normal breathing pattern. So now we will bring the Tantra here. We say, Tantra says that if the mind, you are watching the breath, if the breath is belly or abdominal breathing, that is what the science says, means the belly moves naturally, belly moves in and out naturally. What that is one of the great indications that at this moment the mind is pure. Can you extend that awareness of the breath? You're just aware of the breath, you're not doing anything. Extension, awareness of the breath is what the mindfulness taught by Buddha. Oh, so I have to prepare myself, I have to reach to that state of purification? Yes. 1 minute of mindfulness or 2 minutes of mindfulness never works. It works temporarily. You see how I introduce a new step? Oh, so I have to maintain that awareness. Yes. In that awareness, you experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness in the body. And when you look inside your body, you find the calmness and the quietness. Oh, natural, yes. But we will not leave the two practices. Look inside the cave of your heart, visualize the triangle in any color. So when you visualize the triangle in any color, there is a contrast, and the mind picks up that contrast, the background. Or sometime that you don't see, but you are aware of it. That too is a good state. And now you already know, move the mind gently on each side of the triangle, saying Om Shanti, clockwise and anti-clockwise. Discovering is sinking. When you find there is a sink, then you sing Om. Now you are pushing the mind. Just the opposite takes place. And say Shanti, do nothing, find that absorption. Mind is doing on the triangle, but when the sink is there, you see, you just understand that clearly. Sink is there, it means that is the right time. Right time now to push the mind. It is just the opposite. Push the mind with Om, Shanti, and absorption, self-absorption. You are aware of it. I made it clear. I added one more point here. That is the journey of the self-discovery happens. You repeat the same practice of meditation, it doesn't work. Maybe it may be working for others. I don't know. Now leave this. Go to the japa. Om Shanti on the 16 segments of a finger. What is the secret behind it? Mind's eye looks at the segment. Mind's touch touches that. Mind's ear hears the mantra. And mind's tongue speaks. Everything is happening in the mind. What it means, you are withdrawing the sense organ from the objects of the world. So all the sense organs works in tune with the mind. That is known as the harmony. We will talk in detail. I keep on doing it. Shanti. And you will feel a tremendous vibes and sensations. Sometimes the vision and the colors, and sometimes that sensation becomes so deep. In one way, you can say it is an aura. If you don't have a prana, we don't have an aura. But now the prana is free, so the aura is deep. And do nothing, remain as you are. Check if the Om Shanti still continues without your will, without your intent, or you are just absorbed into the space, or as if you are nothingness. What it means? I don't know who am I. I don't know what to do. In that moment, you wait. Why you wait? Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both your palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Now we'll share our experiences. If you have any question, you can share that question. It will help me to personalize the next session. How are you, David and Jerry? Oh, you have changed your position.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Wow, that was really interesting meditation for me. I actually really struggled at the beginning portion of the rib cage breathing.
Yeah.
And
No problem.
it all of a sudden I realized it's like some sort of blockage. And then I was just able to push it through. And then the latter part of the rib cage breathing was like phenomenal. And then that just led into this deep, I saw eyes of looked like an ancestor looking at me. And then towards the end, it was indigo. Phenomenally deep, though.
Deep indigo, obviously, it means a kind of self-exertion. But the most important point that you raised, that there was some blockage into the rib cage, and then it went away. What I did, I gave you 5 minutes of chest breathing that you have not noticed. So when I'm raising my bar from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, then I realize that there are blockages. Otherwise, I don't realize. Normally, in what happens in yoga is, done, calm down. So I don't go inside. We did 5 minutes of rib breathing. You rightly pointed out. That gives me a good understanding. Yes. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. The meditation was deep. It was relaxing. There was zero resistance. Just nice and peaceful. And the lesson, my takeaway on the lesson was that the intellect will not sabotage me. So
Yes.
won't allow the intellect to sabotage me.
Very important point. It should not sabotage. If my intellect goes to any thought that wants to become a consumer, is sabotaging. I have to maintain that awareness, not pertaining to myself, my body, my mind, but also pertaining to the near and the dear ones, strangers, people, the entire world. That is really wonderful. How are you, Stephen?
I'm good. My takeaway from the lesson is the importance of always being the giver and not the taker.
Good.
And it resonates with me, and I know the different people that I surround myself with throughout my days and weeks, and I'm easily can understand the differences between the givers and the takers, and became very aware today, which was good from a meditation perspective. The second you started chanting the Sarve Sham, there was this just flash of golden light that just took place, and then it just went to an empty space, and that space just continued to expand, and I felt just complete absorption in the middle of the chest breathing, and from there it was just quiet, and it was nothing else. I mean, it was, then I heard you chanting Om Shanti, and I'm like, oh wow, that was deep. So great. Thanks.
You're aware of the self-absorption, and yes, I will repeat it. I'm saying mentally and emotionally you become a giver. I will talk to my honey with love and care today. That is giving attitude. I can give you millions of examples every day, every moment in your life. Grateful, I'm grateful to the water who purifies me, my body, from outside and also inside. I can give you millions of examples. And second thing, we should not create any wrong notion whether we have an objection at the time of rib cage breathing and we are totally absorbed. So at a particular moment, maybe some thought has passed on unconsciously of which we are not aware now. We will become aware as we continue the journey. So make it very clear. And now, how are you, Sam?
Good. I was challenged today a little bit. I was just during the breathing, I just started feeling a little bit warm, even started sweating.
Yes.
I don't know what that means necessarily, but it was definitely a challenge. And you know, when you have sweat on you, you're like, I want to wipe this off, but I stayed, you know, solid in the meditation, and yeah.
Keep it up. Challenge the challenges. And you will see the result. How are you, Terry?
I don't know if I can put this into words.
Yes.
Try. I felt a battle go between the success and failure going on, and then like, oh, I'm doing it right. No, I'm not doing it good enough. Oh no, and then I would feel the peace. Then I would feel, oh no, you're not doing it good enough. You're not doing it the right way. And now I say it, I realize they're all dualities. Success.
You're right.
You know, so I didn't, but I had a moment of great very good feeling.
Good
And,
feeling. Good.
of self criticism.
Very good. You see that I take away from your experiences that at a very deeper and a higher level, there is a fantasy also, whether I'm doing right or whether I'm doing wrong. Just keep on doing when you are in a practice. Just keep on doing. Did you all get it? At the time of the practice, I have to focus on action part. I have to do it. When the mind says whether I'm doing right, whether I'm doing wrong, this is a very subtlest intellectual fantasy. Oh, I'm really sorry I said this to you. Now you see that expression. No, normally we say, I'm very sorry, you know. Why you're sorry? Why didn't you check before you want to say something? Understand. How are you, Brandy? No worries. Just keep on doing in the time of action.
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks. It took me all the way to the triangle to realize that, I mean, you prompted us by saying that, you know, there's the pieces inside of the body, that I had to sort of circumvent the intellectual fantasy to get to that piece that's always there.
Beautiful.
And I'm also glad you mentioned about the 5 minutes with the breathing, because I did I told myself, you only have to do this for 3 minutes. And I realized after, I was like, wait, my mind was like, this is longer than 3 minutes. I'm like, there's a lesson in here somewhere. Just keep breathing. Right.
That's what the surprise element I gave you. Because if you think I have to do 5 minutes, intellectual fantasy. No, it is too much. No, I cannot do it. No, I can do it. I will do it. I resist. And so that duality enters into the mind. And then the entire practice fails. So sometimes I have to be little clever. Wonderful experience. How are you, Samir?
Sir, today it was very smooth, very means it was very easily happening to me. Means it was.
Very good. Very good.
Immediately I went into meditation and I was deep into it, sir.
Beautiful. That's a good. So it means you followed all the steps as it is. Wonderful. How are you? Where Christina? Yes. And then I see from the.
Thank you. I've been practicing what you had shared about noticing likes and dislikes since our last session. And then my mind was very active in the beginning. And by the end, I was able to, there was something you said to just notice somewhere, I don't know, and this flood of indigo came
Yeah.
in, and I was completely absorbed and free from I guess that battle that
Yes,
I've been
yes.
journeying with.
It is the intellect who recognizes that I'm totally free from the battle. And that intellect is the knowledge. Knowledge is awareness. Awareness is consciousness. From that path we are following. And indigo, obviously, that indicates a deep absorption. I'm not talking about these colors specifically, because let the time come and then I will talk about these colors in the visions. And then we have Dennis. Dennis. Yeah. Dennis.
I did not notice that the breathing practice was longer this time, but what I did notice is that after the breathing, the state was a lot deeper, and the mind like was completely idle. Nothing was around except for the space and thoughtlessness.
Beautiful.
So that's
a beautiful. Yeah, sometimes we don't feel any kind of resistance, but everything happens because of the intent in going deeper into the meditation, and that intent is not disturbed by any unconscious, very deep line. We don't know what is it. As we continue the journey, we will recognize, oh, this is the reason. How are you, Vaibhav? We have done all, I think. One, yeah, Ashok is left here.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. In the daytime, mind was recalling old memories and feeling little limited. But after the practice, after the breathing step, it was kind of absorbed, and actually mind got really free from what it was recalling.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now it means, you are also improving, but now we can do for 5 minutes. But sometime I will cheat you. I will only do 3 minutes. So how are you, Ashok?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste,
I am
sir.
good and I am good and peaceful. No, I don't feel any problem and relaxing.
Your smile on the face, beautiful. You are improving. Christina, you don't know what happened to Ashok? He met with a severe accident. He was in intensive care unit for about 72 hours.
But now I am okay.
And how, then I asked, I think I indirectly, because I will not talk that into as a recording. Let me close the recording, because these stuffs, makes one crazy.